This podcast was recorded at the American headquarters of the Aetherius Society, located in Hollywood, California, where service is the jewel in the rock of attainment.
I'm Brian.
I'm Richard.
Thanks for coming to help us with these podcast lessons. And today is the fourth in the 9 freedoms, and this is Enlightenment, extract number 3. This is our master speaking on predetermination.
Every unit of energy that you use must be used either constructively or destructively, or neither constructively nor destructively. There are only 3 ways to use energy. 1 white, 1 black, and 1 grey, if you like. But no matter how you use this energy, you are responsible for every micro unit of its use. It's a shocking thing, isn't it? Staggering thing. Really, we need to be brave to have such a thought. Because if we're honest, immediately we begin to realize, great heavens, look how I have wasted my life. We all think this. Every honest man admits that he could have done more with his life. No matter how that life is devoted to service, every honest man admits this. The fools don't. And if a man doesn't, classify him at once as a fool and walk away from him, no matter what titles or what freedoms he offers you. So, we must use all energy towards that predetermined end. Must predetermine the end, no matter what it is. If you come together in prayer, as many of you do, automatically you begin to predetermine your end. Your end in this case is to send out energy for world peace or enlightenment or world healing or something like that. This is predetermining an end of a certain action. And your prayer goes out. But if you come together, oh, let us pray, without predetermining any end at all, you might just as well say cat, 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 or dog, dog, dog. Believe me. If you stand in church, in a temple, in a Aetherius house, or in a market square and sing a hymn without predetermining the end of that hymn, you might just as well sing Tiger Rag in a backstreet bar. Believe me. It's true. It's absolutely true. I told you I was going to be very straight tonight. I'm laying the truth down in simple language. But if you come together to sing a hymn for somebody's benefit, for the benefit of the world, for the benefit of building a temple, no matter what that end is, especially if it's a good end, then if it is a good end, you have done some good. Now this might be very simple to a lot of you, but maybe it hasn't dawned on some of you. So we must predetermine the end of all things.
It's also important to use this idea of predetermining an end to your life. It's so, these days we have so many distractions and so many different pressures putting on us by our family and our friends and our jobs and just trying to survive in this world. And it's easy to react. It's easy to react to all the different demands. And if you are spending your whole time reacting, you are not predetermining where your energies will take you. And there's many books out these days in the business world which can be applied to people in the spiritual world as well. And one good one is called First Things First. And it's important to, every so often, reflect on where your life is going. Where are your energies going in your life? Where is the progression on the path that you are taking you? And look ahead a month, a year, 3 years, 5 years, and kind of plan it out, think it through. Get one of these little books that kind of take you through it and plan things out a little bit. Because later on, Mars Sector 6 says there's another thing that's important in getting to enlightenment, and that is, this is brought about by strict control and the manipulation of the individual's karmic pattern through service, and so on. And so you need to think about manipulating your karmic pattern. What are the difficulties that you have in this life? Where might they have come from? And how can you change the way you're doing things that will learn the lesson that that difficulty is presenting you? You know what I mean? Kind of think of it in that way. Think of all lessons, all challenges, all difficulties are great gifts that your higher self has designed for you. These aren't just things that are a pain, that they're just obstacles there to kind of slow you down. They're there to build you up, to strengthen you, to help you learn what you need to learn to go forward. And it's important to really think about that. And one trick that I use is you need as many, I find I need as many tricks as possible, because there's so many reactions that you react to. So I like to think of these things every new moon. It's a new cosmic cycle. So it's kind of a natural time to kind of force yourself to stop. If you choose to do a fast that day, that's fine, but take the new moon and really think about things. Write things down. Say, where am I at? What did this last month give me? What can I do this next month? Of course, we all do the January 1st thing, I think. But use the different natural rhythms that you go through to help you manipulate your karma and predetermine where your life will lead you.
One may ask, how do I organize my mind to predetermine? How do I stop the rapid thoughts that rush through my consciousness? How do I learn how to bridle the wild horse of my ego? And Master King gives a very, very straight and clear, practical method by which we can learn concentration. It's concentration, the word virtually means what it is, concentration. And of all the exercises, of which there are probably millions, spoken about forever, he speaks of one, and that is prayer. And he says it this way: prayer is a way to give spiritual healing to others. Just as surely it is a potent way by which each man can give himself a powerful and transmuting, balanced form of healing. Because God knows we need healing when we're going about our day-to-day, ourselves as the healers. Because of its direct reaction upon the psychic forces, the psychic centers, the mental forces, as well as a balancing factor on the flow of psychic energies through the subtle and physical nervous systems within the etheric and dense bodies. The frequent use of prayers can also help man to so control his psychic and mental forces that he becomes capable of deep, sustained concentration. So if we're talking about what can you do to start forming your predetermination, you can accomplish two things at once. One, you can practice concentration by invoking your divine force, your prayer mode. And you set in motion either the 12 blessings or a direct prayer for a particular person or a place or a thing, and you go about and you throw your consciousness into this. One of the tips the Master gives in the question and answers of this particular lecture series, which, once again, I strongly advise you all who don't possess this 9 Freedoms lecture series, that Master King went into detail and gave many, many tips and assisting concepts, is that he gave a very simple practice and an understanding that the conscious mind has been so free for millions of years. Each lifetime we give it rein. Each lifetime we allow it to express itself. Each lifetime we limit it by our actions, our karmic actions. He says when you sit and start let's start at the beginning, concentrated practices. Let's say you're going to set your mind and pray for world peace. And you close your eyes, and in rushes all these different things you forgot to do, things you have to do, things you're going to do, etc., etc., etc. All these thoughts come through. Instead of forcing your mind to say stop, you allow your mind, your consciousness, to continue. And he describes it like a fish on a hook. You give it line. And just let it go out, let it go out, let it go out, let it go out, and your consciousness will get tired. This type of mind will get tired. And when it gets tired, you have it. Then you leap into your spiritual direction, your predetermined spiritual act. And it will be suffused, and it'll be tired, and it won't bother you for as long as you go into your action. Do you understand that process? Allow your mind to exhaust itself, the lower mind to exhaust itself, and then you set your higher mind, your spiritual mind, into action, and then you'll find you have with unencumbered time to proceed. So concentration is very... Yes, Wajid?
Are you saying that thoughts will stop?
I've experienced this. The thoughts subside to almost whispered nothings. Your higher mind or your ancientness starts to take control. And then you start to focus, and this is where you got to take advantage of this, because once the fish has been wound out, then you got to reel it in the sense that now the reeling in is the direct predetermined action. If it's a spiritual practice, if you're leaping into, like say, you're concentrating on the 9 freedoms. If you want to read, let's say, a page without your mind driving you nuts, you have to let the mind go off and let the line go out, as the Master describes it, the fish going off. And then once it exhausts itself, and you'll feel this, everybody will feel this, believe it or not. It'll take some time because you'll be surprised. But when it happens, then it's like a calmness. It's a serenity. And then you leap into that which you're concentrating upon. That's why he's mentioning prayer. If you're going to study the teachings. But in the same token, throw in a little prayer, because he's advising us, strongly advising us all, that prayer accomplishes so many tasks. It sends out the power to the target, to the people, and at the same time, it flushes you with this wondrous light, and it helps your body, your mental bodies, your psychic bodies, the different bodies that we possess.
When you're talking about prayer, do you want to jump down to this other extract?
Yes, let's go there.
Extract number 6.
You might regard the psychic energy in some of you as sour milk. It has to be washed out. The more it's washed out quickly with other power, pure power, the water, which is symbolic for psychic energy, the more it is washed out with it, the cleaner the vessel becomes. If some of the healers, like Harry Edwards and so on, was to suddenly stop healing, he'd go absolutely stark raving mad. If he was to suddenly stop it and consciously close that power in himself, he would be a raving idiot. No doubt. It's got to go out. It's got to flow. Some of you who are taking part in spiritual exercises and so on, it's no good doing these once a week or once a month. It's no good. It's got to flow. At least once a day, the minimum. Once a day, even if it's in your own room. Once a day, the minimum. Don't suddenly start up a practice like sending out power, whether it's a violet flame or no matter what it is, don't suddenly start it and leave it for a month, because you will suffer in mental health and in physical health. There's no doubt. If you don't believe me, try it. I'll guarantee you will. Now, sending it out regularly, you become pure channel. That's what he means here. Get rid of those psychic blocks, and you can start to think clearer too.
We pause for a couple of questions. Anybody have any questions on?
Yes, I have a question. Saint Gulen.
Mm-hmm.
Now, in the Roman Catholic Church, we have saints, canonized saints. Like Mother Teresa is about to be canonized.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you call Gulen saint? Has it reached a very high stage in the spiritual path?
Well, he's a member of the Great White Brotherhood, Saint Gulen. He's an ascended master, so he's actually gone through, right the way through the sixth freedom. So he's an ascended master. He's finished the sixth freedom. He has the ability to go to another world, but he chose to stay back and help mankind. So he, along with many hundreds other masters, are members of the ascended hierarchy, or ascended masters. And because he's actually of Chinese descent.
Oh, he's Chinese.
Yes.
And when did he pass away? How many years ago?
I don't know.
Roughly.
2000, 2,500. Let's go back to saint, because it's very important. That's a good question. I think other people have wondered about that. And I don't think there's really a definitive answer that we can give you now, but we'll look into it. Safe to say that a saint is someone that has been canonized, that has performed three documented or witnessed miracles. Now, without being facetious, I would say that every ascended master, man or woman, that's in the Great White Brotherhood have performed more than 3 miracles, because they are ascended. And before we are ascended, we will be performing many miracles, more than 3. Maybe they're not documented by the Roman Catholic Church, but they have actually happened in one form or another. Tonight we'll be talking about, for instance, an operation called Prayer Power, which the Aetherius Society performs. And it has performed modern-day miracles. I'd love to call Brian Saint Brian Keneipp, because I believe he's a saint in my heart. I believe
His
he's
middle name is Christian.
His middle name's Christian. Saint Christian Keneipp. Why not? Saint Wajid. Hassan. I know, but you see, isn't it ridiculous how we kind of like label people saint, and they've done 3 things, and that's okay. Now we're going to call them saint. And it goes through years of talking about it around the boardrooms, having a cigar and brandy at the Vatican. No, we're talking. The reality is the fact that there are many saints in this world, if we use that criteria, and they are the common man and the common woman who are performing divine spiritual work for their world right here, right now. And some of them are in this temple. So let's go forward. Saint Gulen is one of the key communicators and has been from the Great White Brotherhood throughout the many years since the inception of the Aetherius Society. And he was the one who helped form the Aetherius Society whilst the master was in deep meditation for 3 nights and 4 days. Some years ago, before the Aetherius Society was commenced, there was a rapport between these 2 masters.
Why is it that Dr. George King is not called a saint?
Very good question.
By us? By the Aetherius Society, or by?
Yes, yeah. Well, I mean, yes, in general.
A large part of the work that he did on Earth, he did a lot of moving around the different realms and fixing problems. He was more of a spiritual warrior. He would like that term a lot better. And he formed his brotherhood to be more of a spiritual commando force than to be, say, a group of monks or a monastery. He built the Aetherius Society not to be a monastery, but to be a spiritual commando force, because he felt that this is what is needed on earth today, is hard and direct action, and in many cases difficult action, physically difficult action. Many of the missions that he's left us are physically difficult. And so
maybe he's also trying to show the people you can be just an ordinary person but do certain things and be highly spiritual. Now, for sure, I read some other things in this book. He has definitely reached the Kundalini power, just like Jesus Christ. In my opinion, I have not read anywhere that Jesus Christ activated Kundalini only after he went to India. There is nothing mentioned in the Bible from his 12th year to the 30th year. He performed miracles only after his 30th year. That is after he came from India. He learned and he got the power, so therefore he performed miracles. So my belief is that he is, there's no question about it, he is a saint.
No, that's a very good question. Actually, if people didn't hear, the question was why don't we in the Aetherius Society call Dr. King a saint? That was what we answered. But no, that's a very good point. And his message was that miracles can be done by ordinary people.
Yes.
And that's really what the Nine Freedoms tells us, is your service and your love are performing miracles. You may not know what miracle you perform. There may be someone in another country that just needs that bit of energy that you are releasing. That's a miracle. Very good point.
He says it. Oh, Martha, please.
Oh, no, if you want to continue with that, go ahead.
Well, hold on to your thought. Concentrate. He says very clearly, I came to this world to fight. And he came to the world to fight, to defend and protect all humanity. He came to clear the stables of the evil ones who assailed and assaulted and wreaked havoc on mankind. That was his primary task. And he did that very successfully. And most of it we can't even describe in public. However, getting back to the Master Jesus, there's a wonderful cassette, if you're interested. It's called The Occult Secrets of Jesus. The Master King was very close, and to this day, obviously is very close to the Master Jesus. And he describes various aspects of the Master Jesus' life, his exalted uniqueness, and little secrets that people didn't know about him. Even his name, while he was on earth. So, probably very fascinated to pick that up for, I think it's $5 or $7 or something like this. Yes, it is here. It's very good to listen to this and contemplate. I'll use the correct words. Allow yourself to listen, open, and relate. Because in will flow, once again, interesting energies and memory. Memory. It's said in this book, those who come across the Nine Freedoms were destined. Your destiny brought you to these teachings. So you must have been at the feet of a master like Jesus or the Lord Buddha or Sri Krishna, certainly in our lifetimes upon our world. So thank you very much again for that the question, Martha, regarding the ionosphere.
Which I didn't understand at all.
And it is...
You don't have to.
I mean, we can give advice, and I think the advice here is that the Cosmic Masters foresaw that we would require assistance. And the ionosphere was placed and strengthened quite a few hundreds of thousands of years ago, and it's been strengthened. And at this very moment, it seems as though it is actually being dissipated or lessened. But these cosmic teachings were given so that we could adjust to these newfound energies that are flowing from not only from our planetary family, which is our planets and the cosmos, but also from the Mother Earth herself, in which our unique energies are now flowing up from her. That's another complete discussion regarding the cosmic initiation of the planet Earth. On July the 8th, 1964, this event occurred. However, that said, it is up to us, I think, to take these teachings, apply them in our day-to-day life, and we will see the changes occur. And as the Master Theory says, with single-minded determination, with your spiritual will, carry on, cooperate, and we will promise you 1,000,000 helpers, paraphrasing him. So we have assistants. We have people that are standing behind you and assisting you in your day-to-day. And the more devout and the more spiritual you are every day, you will have greater assistance. And this natural, beautiful natural raising of the Kundalini will slowly but surely go up, and these flowers will blossom, and you will attain the various interesting abilities that have been spoken about for ages, all the different cities.
I'd also like to answer that a little bit, that ionosphere problem. They put that there, in essence, to protect us, because we, as a race, as a civilization, tended to use the energies incorrectly. Unfortunately, it blocked all the energies, or shall we say, it filtered all the energies, both the good and the negative. And so that's why it's been taking us so long to get to where we're supposed to be going. But that's the genius of satellite number 3. That comes into orbit, and that virtually bypasses the ionosphere, but only with the good energies, you see? And so as you are here underneath the ionosphere and you make a demand on energy to send out healing and upliftment, that energy is given to you through the ionosphere, or shall we say around the ionosphere. But if you try and pull energy down for a negative use, it doesn't come. And that's one of the geniuses of satellite number 3. It helps us build up positive karma more quickly than ever before. And that's why it's so important to, really treat the SP as a spiritual push. And push. Do your practices, do your affirmations, do your prayers. Come to Theory Society or other churches or other organizations where you're helping people, and really do it in concentrated effort during a spiritual push, especially. That's a great question. Yeah, we better let's jump ahead to. Should we jump ahead to the breathing and limitation one?
Yeah, let's listen to that. That's a good one.
Extract number 5, or track 5.
Master King.
One of the most potent exercises on earth is deep breathing. What do you do when you do deep breathing? Well, the first thing you do is to train the mind. To exercise free will, not at all. You train the mind to put up with limitation. Control of breath isn't free will. It's imposing limitation upon your breathing. When you give service to others, you are too imposing a limitation upon your actions. When you go to others, you listen to their woes and so on. You are imposing a limitation upon yourself because you are taking upon yourself a part of their responsibility as well. This is imposing a limitation upon yourself. This isn't letting a basic free will take you down to sunbathe at Santa Barbara, but to sit in a back room listening to some other person pour out their woes and troubles, or giving healing, whatever it might be. Service is imposing a limitation. It is the imposition of a limitation certainly upon the basic self. There isn't any doubt at all. And yet many people do it every day and are continuing to give this service in one way or another. either by prayer, whatever it might be. My friends, if you are to know freedom, you must be willing to give up your free will. If you are not, you will never know freedom.
That brings up a real keynote in the teachings that the Cosmic Masters give us. And that is the lessons all the way from the galaxy to the sun to the Mother Earth to the Ascended Masters who stayed behind on Earth. The lesson is to reach the heights, reach as high as you can, but then bring yourself back down to give service to those around you. And here he's saying it again, give service. Do your breathing exercises, do your spiritual reading, but also give service. Wherever you possibly can, help people out, especially spiritually. And for example, if you listen to some of his tapes and lectures, he talks about different spiritual practices that are very powerful. The AUM, for example. You can just sit and chant the AUM for hours and hours and hours. And he says in that particular lecture that this can bring you great states, great ecstatic states, just by chanting the AUM over and over and over again. But he says that rather than do that, it's far better for yourself and especially for the world to give service, whether it be spiritual healing or the 12 blessings. Well, thank you all very much.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming. Thank you.
The Fourth Freedom Enlightenment.